We're always happy you're here.
And here we are with the second hour of the Jazz Journey here on Franklin Public Radio. I'm Pamela Hines. Thanks so much for staying tuned. Our first tune is going to be Al Jarreau from his Tenderness.
Transitions.
All right, there we go. Oh, wait. The stragglers.
Oh, yeah, here. Thank you. Ready to go?
It's your meeting.
It's mine.
It's your meeting.
Okay. What's the time? 7:01? Okay, good evening, folks. The time being 7:01, I call to order the November 8th Franklin School Committee meeting. Meetings are recorded by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 11 and Verizon Channel 29, as well as recorded by Franklin Matters. Any individual who also wishes to record this meeting must notify the chair in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F. At the conclusion of our meeting, we will be adjourning to executive session and will not be returning to open meeting. So it's my pleasure to transition and introduce our pledge student for tonight. Okay, I'm pleased to introduce Achal Saxena. Achal is a fifth grade student in his second year at Kennedy Elementary School, where he enjoys the teachers and that the school's core values really matter to students. Achal also enjoys science and social studies, but according to Achal's math, it is not just my favorite at times, and there's a smiley face here. According to Achal's teachers, he is a conscientious, hardworking student who is also a good friend to others. Achal has a younger brother who is in the audience today, named Ayush, who is in his first year at first grade and also attends Kennedy Elementary School. Outside of school, Achal enjoys playing with friends, riding his bike, and reading fantasy stories. In fact, he's currently reading Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Colfer. Achal wants everyone to know that he truly enjoys eating his mom's favorite meal, a recipe that's very special, Manchurian with fried rice and gravy. So Achal, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you, Achal. I'd like to thank his family for coming as well and supporting. If you need to sneak out, you can. Don't worry. Sometimes people wonder if we're allowed, but you can slip away if you need to.
And as other members would say, go get some ice cream.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as is customary, at this time, we will pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we have the organizational portion of our meeting with the election of a chair. So at this time, I would entertain a motion for an election of a chair.
I have a motion
Okay.
to elect Denise Spencer for the chair. Elect. Nominate.
Okay.
This is why
All right. Is there a second?
Second?
All right. Is there any discussion? Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? The motion passes, and Denise Spencer is the chair of the Franklin School Committee. Congratulations. And at this time, I will turn this over to the chair, who will call for a vote for a vice chair.
We need theme music for this.
I know.
Avengers.
Yes. Oh, I like that. All right. Okay, at this time, I would entertain a nomination for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Elise.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion? Okay, All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Ms. Elise Stokes, Vice Chair of the Physical Committee. All right. Moving right along, review of agenda. The only thing I had a question on, Lucas, and I'm sorry, I noticed this like as I sat down right here. For executive session, should A be in there? Should that be
So
from the, I believe it should just be B.
it should be B. Let's see, we had the October minutes. Typically, we've done those at the end of the year. We've improved all executive session minutes, but do you have in your packet, you may have noticed, we put the
The minutes are there.
They are in there? Okay.
But usually it's just been the language around B. We haven't specifically put approval of executive session minutes from the last meeting.
Okay. I might have done that, just thinking that was part of the process. But certainly, I know at the end of the year, my first school committee meeting, we did them at the end of the year and approved them all. So what we can do is do the same, follow the same practice.
Okay.
So we can strike that. Okay. Any other?
I think that's it. Payment of bills and payroll we'll assign for the next meeting. Moving along to our high school student reps. Good evening, everyone.
Hello. All right, I will start. My name is Shaw Downing. I am the vice president of the class of 2023. I'm going to talk about sports. Football will play this Friday home at 6 o'clock. Volleyball will play this Wednesday home at 5 o'clock. Field hockey will play home tomorrow at 4 o'clock at Beaver Pond. The girls' soccer team will play home at 4 o'clock, and the boys' soccer team will follow after them at 6 o'clock on Thursday for both teams. The cheer team won the Hockomock Championship. Congratulations to them. We'll have more games this week as we hopefully advance to the next round for all teams. For the class of 2023, we just launched a raffle calendar fundraiser where each calendar is $20 and the money will go to our senior week and senior banquet. Students can attend senior banquet for free if they sell 15 calendars, and they can go to senior week for free if they sell 25.
Thank you, Shaw. I'm Robin Chaudhary. I'm the senior class president at Franklin High. Just some whole school updates. The Franklin High School Theater Company is currently working on Cinderella, which will be performed this weekend and next weekend, the 18th and 19th. Other than that, most colleges had their early action deadlines last week, so a lot of the seniors are able to relax a little bit. And this week is a short week, as yesterday concluded our first quarter. Grades will be closing shortly, but we had no school today for Election Day. Tomorrow and Thursday will be half days for parent-teacher conferences, and Friday will be off in honor of Veterans Day. And freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are selling t-shirts for the pep rally to raise money for their class events, so make sure you buy your grades t-shirts. And other than that, that is it. Yeah.
All right. Any questions, comments? No? Go get some ice cream. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Jagir, Superintendent's report.
Okay, great. Along with it being Election Day, today was a full professional development day for our educators. In the morning, teachers participated in a content-specific professional development. Teachers at the pre-K and elementary levels began a Science of Reading professional development series. Teachers at the secondary level continued their content-specific professional development, and in the afternoon, teachers built their schedule, choosing 3 sessions that best fit their learning needs. From over 100 sessions, 92 of the 100 sessions were facilitated by Franklin teachers, counselors, SLPs, our OTs, digital learning integrationists, curriculum leaders, and many of our administrators. So the sessions were designed to present ideas and strategies to facilitate roundtable discussions or collaborate in the design and creation of curriculum. Between the morning and afternoon sessions, Colin Boisvert and his team, service team, prepared delicious lunch options for our staff, and we would like to thank all of our educators who made today a success. I just would share and thank our team. I would like to thank Dr. Rogers, Mrs. Morano, and our digital learning integrationists for helping put that day together. And is there anything you'd like to just share and add?
Well, I would just add one small thing, that we sent out a survey to educators at the end of the day, and 65% of our teachers that attended the day responded already, and of those, The first question was, overall, this PD day contributed to my professional learning, and they had to rate that on a scale of 1 to 4, being 4 strongly agreed, as strongly disagree. 94.2% of our educators ranked it a 3 or 4 for the day, which I think.
That's a hard to please crowd, so I'm impressed.
Thank you. Next, we wanted to share an update and change to the Massachusetts discipline law, 37H and 3/4. No, that's not a Harry Potter reference. There is an actual law with that. So Governor Baker recently signed a bill into law aimed to addressing barriers for blocking access to mental health. This act amended various laws directly and indirectly, one related to mental health and wellness. One of the laws affected was that 37H and 3/4. And this law addresses how and when school decision makers are permitted to issue disciplinary consequences to students when they violate the code of conduct. The law previously gave the discretion to decision makers who issue discipline on how long they could suspend students, and beginning today, November 8th, they've made changes, and I just would highlight 3 distinct ways so that everyone knows. We'll also put something out in writing to our families, but we wanted to just share some communication now. Administrators at student hearings, when deciding consequences, shall consider ways to re-engage students in the learning process through restorative efforts and change the behavior rather than issuing out-of-school suspensions. They shall not use out-of-school suspensions until some alternative remedies have been employed and documented. And then ultimately, what alternative remedies are described as are mediations, conflict resolution, restorative practices, and problem solving, collaborative problem solving. However, in cases, administrators can suspend students in cases where the use of an alternative remedy would be unsuitable or counterproductive. And in those cases, it could be that the continued presence in school would pose a specific documentable concern or an infliction of seriously bodily harm or to themselves or another person in school. So it doesn't have a blanket statement, but you need to really consider when you suspend and have at least attempted in certain cases that you've tried to use other alternatives to out-of-school suspension, which includes some internal in-school behavior recommendations around education, intervention, training, those types of things. The law does require that we document, and there is no time frame to implement a framework. However, we've already begun. I know Mrs. Marano has already been in contact. We notified our leadership team. This came to us about 3 weeks ago. So this isn't something we knew in the summer when we were planning out, but we are going to be taking a thoughtful look at how this impacts our policies and our procedures and our discipline matrix. And you can expect more information, and the community will as well. And it may come to the point where we have to come back in front of you to make some approvals depending on how this plays out. And like I said, we've been in contact with our attorneys as well to make sure that we're up to speed. So this is a statewide thing. The DEI Deep Dive series, we mentioned last meeting around trying to engage the community in some of this work as a result of our presentation last week. So the Franklin Public Schools invites the community to attend a DEI Deep Dive series, which we will engage in a collaborative dialogue on November 19th, which is a Saturday morning from 10 to 11:30 at the Franklin Public Library on the first floor, the School Street entrance. Following a brief presentation, attendees will be able to engage in a structured, authentic, and informative conversation with district administration, facilitated by our Director of Equity and Inclusion, Ms. Heidi Harris. And this session will focus on various areas of improvement related to climate and culture and the portion of the equity audit, but also help inform our action plannings as we develop that throughout the year. And we would encourage folks to attend who are able, and we will send an invitation out, and it will include a link to the presentation that we reference on October 25th, so there'll be more there. It's an opportunity to engage our community as we said we would in the presentation. Last piece, final thing, is COVID tests and distribution. So the Executive Office of Health Services and the Department, DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed, has announced that they will provide districts with a one-time distribution of at-home COVID-19 test kits to be used for optional return testing following Thanksgiving and December breaks. Test kits will be distributed to staff and families the week of November 21st, and you can expect further communication coming this week. Mrs. Morano is going to be driving to the distribution, MEMA, to the distribution center
11,000 test kits.
to get them. So we'll be getting those, and we'll send out more information as well. That is my report. I know sometimes they're lengthy, but we try to provide a detailed summary of what's going on. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Camille?
I just wanted to know the number of that law that you mentioned, the
Was it 37H?
Harry Potter law.
37H and 3/4.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Dave?
Thank you all, very much for the report. Really appreciated too the data points talking about the PD. I'd love to, if we might be able to come back to that at our next meeting. If more than 65%. Or
Yes, 65%, so the survey will be distributed again via email to staff.
yeah, just to be able to to kind of see that final picture. But I know we've often talked about like the teacher choice and voice, and it's great to see how well that's being received right now. So thank you very much for the data. I appreciate that.
Okay. Al?
No questions.
Dave?
No questions, just, thank you for this update, and I appreciate the DEI Deep Dive series. I think it's going to be very beneficial to have that dialogue with members of the community to let citizens know what DEI plan is and what it is not. So I appreciate that communication.
Elise?
Thanks for all the info, no questions.
Megan?
Yeah, I think that the DI meeting at the library sounds great. And I do have a question. What vehicle is going to contain, transport these 11,000? Is a van? Like a
I'm
big
not
truck?
sure. I thought it was going to be my Buick, but I don't think so when we figured out how many boxes that'll be. So I
Yeah.
think we're going to get the facilities to help me with that.
Right.
Or Mr. Jagir's truck.
There you go. Okay. All right, I was just curious. Good numbers. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Jagir.
Sure.
Moving right along, we have no guests or presentations, so moving on to discussion action items, if you want to tee that up.
Sure, I'll tee it up. So as you know, we have been engaging in the process of a redistricting analysis. We've had a few touch points and provided some information along the way at each of our school committee meetings. We're at the stage now where you may recall last meeting you voted to approve a redistricting advisory committee on October 25th. This meeting, what we've done between the last meeting and now is put out an informational form to try to garner interest from the community, and we received our responses back. In discussing it with the chair of our Space Needs Subcommittee, Al Charles, and looking at the list and consulting with the AFGO, which is the consulting firm, around the next steps. We need to form a committee that's representative of each of our schools in various roles, which include parents, administrators, and community members. So we have a list before you that you received, and I would, at this point, like to recommend that you approve the list of members per your policy BDF that requires that school committee approve the members of the team.
Okay.
And I don't know if do you wait, Al, before you
Yeah.
can weigh in? Okay.
So is there a motion to approve the list of redistricting analysis advisory committee members as discussed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion, questions. Camille?
No.
Dave Callahan? Al?
Just some comments.
Yeah.
So I was really pleased to see that the community came out and said, hey, we want to participate. And this wasn't just a forum where you just said, yes, I want to be on the group. They actually had to expand on why they wanted to be on the group, what would they bring to the table. So it was really great to see the backgrounds that people have, their passion around it, and it really just showed us that we were able to get a really good, diverse group from all of the schools, and really a nice cross-section of the community as well. I think this is going to help us really cover any blind spots that as individuals we may have, and really take into account, if not all, the bulk of all of the factors that are important to people in the community. That when we do this, this is representative of the community and not just one dot. Looking forward to working with these folks in this process and really seeing what their thoughts are and what they will bring to the table.
Dave?
No questions. I'm just very encouraged to see the great interest from the community and all the names on this list.
Okay. Elise?
Yep, just similar. I think it's great that there was such a sort of pretty equal disbursement across different schools, which is so good to see that people are paying attention and want to be invested and involved.
Megan?
Yeah, I agree. It's great to see a lot of people interested in this. Looks like real good cross-section of different schools, different grades, different people from the community, so I think this is great.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Discussion only items, none. Information matters. Superintendent evaluation, Elise.
Wow, we're really clipping on this meeting, huh?
Don't jinx it.
Well,
Maybe you need to ask some more questions.
maybe I need to, right. Superintendent Evaluation Subcommittee will be meeting next week to review this. Is that next week? It is.
It is.
Wow.
Yep.
To review the superintendent's goals, and then he will be presenting them to the full school committee on November 22nd. I think the 22nd, right? Yeah.
Before Thanksgiving?
The chair declares.
Always sick that
You can push it out.
Budget.
If you need to push it out, we can push it out, but
I know it's the
we're
night
still meeting
before
on the
win.
14th. so.
Every year.
Budget.
Budget subcommittee has not met, however, prior to this meeting, we did partake in a budget workshop to discuss the outlook and timeline for the upcoming budget process and review school committee member budget priorities.
Okay. Any news on a joint budget subcommittee meeting?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Of course.
When can that happen? I feel like, I know patience isn't my biggest virtue, but I feel like it's been a really long time since that happened, and
was
I'm not
February?
sure of
January?
22.
March this year?
It was
Yeah.
a long time ago, and so I'm not sure, like, how, I guess, I wonder how does the process go, and like is there accountability
Who's
there?
driving it?
Yeah, I don't know the
Is there a
details.
chair of it?
Right, that's a good question.
Yeah. Mr. DeGear, would you maybe have any information?
I think I can talk with our town administrator, and we can work together to plan. I know
Okay.
that there was an intention to set one up, so
I feel
it
like
might
it's
just be a smooth
really
situation.
important.
Sure.
I feel like it's really important that we're sharing our, budget planning, like we're all sort of working together and having open conversation. And I remember that was a priority a couple of years ago, and then it happened. We were so excited, and sort of the intention was to continue. And I think that school committee is very invested in communicating with the other boards, and joint budget subcommittee would be
Sure.
such a good time and place for that.
Yes, I absolutely agree, and I was very supportive and getting the first one on the books and,
I know.
and having that communication. So,
I know.
and-
Well, you can tell you're catching heat. You can tell them you're catching heat from your colleagues here, and if that helps at all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Policy, Dave Callahan?
We will meet tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah. I know, yeah, parent-teacher conference nights.
Yeah.
Thinking about that
Tomorrow.
previously, but yes.
Okay. Community relations. We met last week, discussing how we can better communicate with the community, working on our legislative forum. After this evening, we'll be reaching out to our state reps to try to set up a time and date that will take place in the early 2023 time period, so keep your eyes open for that. I wanted to provide just an update as the MASC liaison, because I did, last week was the Massachusetts Association of School Committees and Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Joint Conference, which Al Lucas and I attended. So I tried to keep it brief, but I also wanted to make sure that I gave an update, because we did spend a lot of time down there, and there was a lot of great discussion and conversations happening, and I want to do it justice to kind of, I love going, so. So Wednesday the 2nd, I, as the delegate for Franklin, attended the assembly where we discussed and voted on all 6 resolutions that we discussed at previous meetings. All 6 were approved, and I should have the final resolutions for you guys shortly. They're working on putting them together. There were surprisingly not a lot of approved amendments to the resolutions. So the finalized versions I'll have, it was, I think it was 78-7, our resolution 1 on sanctuary laws passed, so that was nice to hear. Thursday, the featured session was presented by William James College, who's a partner of ours. The session was called Understanding the Student Mental Health Crisis. And Mr. Jagir, I did confirm that I can get a copy of that presentation, so I'll be sending that along to you and the rest of the committee. It was an amazing presentation with a lot of information from the past 2 years on the state of mental health with students and adults as well. So I think that will be helpful kind of framing our work going forward. I then attended Creating and Promoting Equitable Conditions in Schools, presented by the Beverly Public Schools. They're now like tied for my favorite school district because they were so amazing. I loved them so much. They did such a great job presenting. It was spectacular, and there was so much interaction with the school district and the school committee. They were wonderful and lovely. The chair of their school committee was present, and they discussed how to counteract misinformation within the community. And the two of us have kind of been in communication since then, sharing tips and ideas, so I hope to bring those forward soon. I did find it interesting that the city of Beverly as a whole performed an equity audit, not just the schools. So maybe that's something we could bring to the town side. Thought that was interesting. Another key takeaway, they say that experts say it takes about 10 years for equity to become embedded into any district. So this isn't just checking a box, so this will take work from all of our stakeholders. And they discussed how the schools have a superintendent student ambassador group, where it's made up of students who report and meet directly with the superintendent to discuss issues and concerns. Just throwing that out there, I thought it was really interesting. I know the three of us attended the proactive communication, telling your district story session, and it really highlighted just how much work we have to do in this area. I know we're going to catch up on a lot of the notes that we took during that meeting. No, I lied. My favorite session was hosted by members of Cambridge Latin High School on incorporating student voice in district and school equity plans. It was run by these 4 seniors, and they were just lovely and wonderful and amazing. It was interactive, where you had to create a diagram and work with people who you didn't know. So like I sat with members who I do know, and they were like, nope, everybody has to break up and go work with someone else, and I threw a hissy fit, and it was awful. But you discussed what your districts were doing right, what you thought they weren't doing right, and we kind of came up with ideas on how to increase student engagement and get their input on matters that things that matter most to the students, because I think that that's who we're trying to serve as the students, and we don't usually hear from them often, so I thought that was great. Friday, all school committees had their division meetings. Franklin is within Division 3, and I was able to get some great information on goal setting, budgets, policies, and subcommittees. And I wrapped things up on Friday with what school business officers want school committees to know. And this gave me a better appreciation and understanding of all the work Miriam does for our district and the stress she is under, since they stressed several times, budget season never ends. So thank you for all you do, Miriam. And yeah, so I mean, there were so many other sessions. I mean, like, I think Al and I maybe attended 2 of the same. There were just so many to choose from. I wish I could have attended all of them. So I'm looking forward to the next one. And I know our Division 3 president, she's going to be setting up meetings to meet more regularly moving forward, so that all districts can kind of communicate with one another, and so we can kind of cross-collaborate. So that is my long-winded joint conference update. All right. Space needs. Al? Sorry.
I'm sorry. You didn't ask if we had any thoughts or comments.
Okay, sorry.
So I think that, just to commend you, that I think one of your one of your biggest strengths out of many is like networking and collaborating with other school committee members in other districts. And I've seen this over the last 3 years. And just as you said, you watched this presentation by Beverly School Committee, and now you've been in contact ever since. And so like, we don't want to be recreating the wheel if somebody else is doing a good job. And so Denise is out there making friends, changing lives, and hooking up with people in other school committees. And it's really, really helpful, isn't it? It's so helpful. It's really helpful. I just really appreciate it. And just, we're open to learning things from other places, and if they've already sort of like worked out the kinks, and they can be the guinea pigs, and we can adopt some of the things that they do that are tried and true. I think it just saves us time and just like your effort there. And I know it's so time consuming communicating with people, and you're just so good at it. And I really appreciate that. One of the many things.
Thank you.
I second that.
Space needs, Al?
Yeah, so as we just voted today, we formalized the advisory committee. Our first meeting will be on Tuesday, November 15th at 6 p.m. at the Franklin High School Media Center. That's where the group will come together, and AppGeo will do their kickoff meeting, really just set the foundation for what will happen over the next coming months.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So since we have the advisory committee now, do we still need the space needs like subcommittee, or is it like we're going to be sort of in tandem, or use the advisory committee and then come back to space needs, or is that dissolve at this point? Like, what are the thoughts on that?
So yeah, we'll keep the space needs subcommittee, and we'll help AppGeo in facilitating these presentations and moderating the groups. So where AppGeo will lead it, we'll maybe be breaking out into subgroups in that of the larger advisory committee,
right?
And just making sure that folks are still on track and we're still moving towards the common goal.
So we'll almost be like each member of Space Needs will sort of be facilitators with the breakout groups with the larger advisory committee. Okay, all right, sounds good.
Joint PCC.
Yep. So we met yesterday. Monday, yesterday. We talked through some of the questions around bake sales and what is allowed and what is not allowed, and how does that align with our policies. So just make sure that they're all set. And as a follow-up for our community relations subcommittee, it asked around like what are their communication practices and how do they share information to the families, so they share their thoughts as well. So I'll send you the notes as well, so at least we can see how we can leverage them in distributing our message. And then also we just talked to the normal expectations or normal discussions around what they've done so far in terms of community development, helping the kids, field trips, social events such as their normal pumpkin strolls, and then things that are coming up such as book fairs, and just really ways that they can help the schools.
Okay. Since you brought up bake sales, I have a question. I saw on Twitter today a bunch of people posting about like in different towns, like there were PCCs and schools having bake sales where elections were happening. Are we right? I didn't know if that was like a thing. But it is a thing. It was on Twitter.
A PCC
it's on the internet. So it has to be.
It's on the internet. Yeah. So as a school, we have a school wellness policy that that we as a school have to make sure that we're in line with the nutritious health guidelines. So we're required. PCCs are encouraged to. It's the exact quote from the policy is research and implement plans that consider healthy choices. However, they're not limited to doing any type of bake sale or anything like that to that degree. What I did say was the days when we used to do homemade bake sales and bring in food and things like that is not something that we would do during the school day. And I use an example around, with all good intentions, someone could have an allergy, and we've created a situation that we don't want to put a kid at risk for, I think I said I didn't want to, I'd hate to be the wet blanket, but I'd rather disappoint people in this meeting than have to work with a family that we approved it and then we had an issue. So that's the ruling on that. And can I just follow up one comment that Al made? No? Okay. So I just want to thank our PCCs and the presidents and the leadership, because they came together, and it's a think tank. When they came together and shared, they all are independent kind of nations, and when they came together to kind of share ideas and share how they're all operating, we took really great notes, and I think it created just an idea share across the board, and every single group has their own idea, and they're all valuable, and I just thought it was great to kind of see that kind of cross-sharing of ideas to kind of help, and they do so much to help. We're really fortunate in this town, and I'm speaking as a parent now, to have folks that are a part of our PCCs and lead and put together these all voluntarily, and to really support our students, and we're lucky in this town to have that. So just wanted to make a plug for the PCCs that come together. They meet with us monthly, and they share a lot of great information.
Thank you. All right, School Wellness Advisory.
So we met with our wellness coach to begin prioritizing our action plan to implement the wellness policy, and our next meeting is January 3rd.
Okay. All right, CPAC.
So the CPAC book club is coming up, in case you haven't been paying attention for me saying this for the last 6 weeks. The book club is coming up on November 16th at Escape into Fiction, and their next meeting is at the end of the month.
Okay. Substance Abuse Task Force.
Our next meeting is Tuesday.
Okay. And DEI Committee.
We met to frame the work and share introductions and reestablish connections. And our next meeting is, I'm not sure, but it's, the 30th.
Yes.
Yes.
After Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right, moving along, consent agenda, Mr. Jagir.
Okay. I recommend approval of the minutes of the October 25th, 2022 school committee meeting as detailed. I recommend acceptance of a check for $15.48 from Ohio Pile Prints for supplemental supplies at FHS as detailed. I recommend approval of the request of the Emily Bilodeau to take approximately 60 fourth grade music students to Rhode Island Philharmonic on May 25th, 2023 as detailed. I recommend acceptance of a check for $54.96 from the Parmenter PCC for supplemental supplies as detailed. I recommend acceptance of a check for $2,779.40 from the Keller PCC for field trips as detailed. I recommend acceptance of a donation of the cost of a bus, approximately $1,200, from a Franklin family for the FHS history field trip. I recommend acceptance of 4 checks totaling $2,891.40 from the Parmenter PCC for field trips as detailed. I recommend approval of the establishment of a new student activities account, Chess Club, as detailed. I recommend approval of the request of Rebecca Motti to declare a piano as surplus that is beyond repair.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as detailed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion, questions? Okay, seeing none, vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving along, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens in the audience, in person or online, who would like to make a comment on an item not on tonight's agenda and falls within the committee's purview? All right. Moving along, new business, Mr. Jagir.
So the next meeting you can expect will be the November 22nd meeting. You can expect a report on goals. We'll also be providing an assessment presentation, including MCAS results, so we can share information. And those are the 2 presentations, and then you can expect routine business as well.
Okay. All right. So finally, we will be adjourning to executive session and not be returning to open meeting. Okay, so pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, for the purpose of discussing strategy as it relates to collective bargaining with the cafeteria, van drivers, secretaries, and ESP units, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee as declared by the chair. Is there a motion to adjourn into executive discussion as discussed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. See you again on November 22nd.